All right, let's begin with our hms. Remember, you want to start with an H sound, so then you can lift up into that shelf and sustain that H throughout the whole exercise. Don't go from a hum, right? Don't go from to because it drops down from the shelf. You want to maintain the flow, the airflow that the H creates, and have it continue to flow even as you add that sound. So instead of it should be It stays up because I'm continuing airflow. Anyway, let's go ahead. Keep it light. Let's go ahead and reset. Next up, we want to do our burbles. And again, we're still thinking about that shelf. So instead of doing a burble that sounds like that's very bottom lip heavy, I'm using a lot of my jaw to create that sound. I want instead to make it a lighter, more tinny burble. So in comparison, so first here is the low burble. And then putting it up. And listen, I can still do the same pitch. I'm going to do this pitch. So first low. And now I'm going to put it up on the shelf. It's still the same pitch, but it's lighter. It might sound higher, but it's just because it's a higher placement. So let's go ahead and focus on that with our burbles now. Ready, and... Nice. Let's go ahead and reset. Now we're going to move on to a little harsher shelf exercise. We're going to do our knee-knees. Again, you still want to think about putting things on the shelf, even though you're adding a harsher sound. Don't let that louder, harsher, more pointed sound I don't want its strength to stem from your jaw or from your lower lip. Still keep your teeth showing. It's especially hard to cover an E vowel. So make sure your upper teeth are showing, but also do not spread. No knee where you have a big smile. You should, if you need to, actually a really good practice would be to have your hands out the side on your cheeks so you can still show your upper teeth, but your hands are making sure that it would be a lot of effort to spread your mouth open too wide. So let's go ahead and let's do our knee-knees. Focus on the teeth and also have your hands on your cheeks. Let's do it. Ready, and... Nice. Let's go ahead and reset. And all right, now we're going to move on to our new exercises. We've got our me, may, ma exercise. We need to come up with something for it. But again, we're thinking about the teeth, right? Staying on that shelf. And we're building up to a high note. We're going to do this exercise a couple times. One of them has a run, meaning we have a couple notes that are next to each other. That's going to help us get some support going up to the high note. Then later we're going to take out those middle notes and we're going to work on jumps to the high notes. And then at the very end, we're just going to work on sustaining one single note and keeping on that shelf for a long period of time. But the first one we're doing has the run. So it sounds like this. Let's see. Me, ma. So the the syllables I'm using are me, may, ma. And for the first two, I'm kind of just, the back of my palate feels kind of like it's flipping up, like I'm just flicking that note out there. And the last one still has that motion, but it is sustained, and I'm adding a shimmer of vibrato to help keep me up above the shelf for more than just a second. The other ones are fleeting, right? Me, may, ma, and I gotta hold it for a while. So for that last one, think about using your vibrato, your energy, your teeth showing, so then you can keep the note up there for more than that quick second that we had before, okay? So let's go ahead and begin. Remember, it's me, may, ma, okay? Ready, and keep it up there. Don't get loud. Show the teeth. Don't get loud. Last one. Nice. Let's go ahead and reset. And all right, and you can practice that exercise with different vowels, but let's begin for now until you feel pretty solid about where that placement is, that you are showing your teeth. Let's just keep to me, may, ma, but later you can change it. You can add some oohs, you can add oh, you can add some a's in there, whatever you need and want to experiment with. Eventually, you would like to experiment with the different vowels, so then you can figure out where that is and where it should be in your voice. Where's that placement? But let's continue again. We're still doing that me, may, ma pattern, but instead of doing that rise up there like we did before, me, ma. Now we're going to do a jump. So we're not going to have this little ladder leading us to the top note. We're just going to go from bottom to top, and it sounds like this. Me, ma, ma. And also notice that now I'm kind of doing that quick little touch for the low note. I'm not putting a lot of weight on it. It's just a quick visit. And then I jump to the top note, and we're spending a little more time for each of these hits. It's not just the last one. Me, ma, ma. last one gets a little longer, but now we're spending a little more time up in that high note. So again, you're going to have to think about staying on the shelf in the beginning, not adding a bunch of weight, it shouldn't be really loud, and being able to make a jump and stay on that shelf. Again, showing your teeth is going to be very important for this. Let's go ahead and try it. So remember, me, may, ma. So you're not changing vowels. It's two me's, two mays, two ma's. Let's try it. Ready, and. Don't get loud. Last one. Nice. Let's go ahead and reset. Again, still think about that shelf even when you're resetting, okay? Keep that H, keep that airflow. Let's do it. Ready, and. The last exercise we're going to do is a sustained single note. Now the challenge here is going to be placing, well, not really so much placing the note on the shelf. Since it's just one note, we don't have to scramble around or plan out where we need to move. We just have to focus on the one note, think about it, breathe in that placement. That's why it's really important to pause and think instead of just go in with a plan. So you breathe in that note, think of that placement, and set it on there. Now, the problem with sustained notes, and what happens to a lot of novice singers, is that they begin holding a note, and they might start out with a placement in the right spot, that's optimal, but slowly as they hold out the note, their placement drops, and you can hear, even though they're holding the note, you can hear that it comes off the shelf, and sometimes it'll even make them go flat. At the very least, it's going to change the tone of their note. So you need to make sure that once you have it on the shelf, once you have your teeth showing, you have everything lifted, that it stays lifted. You should have this image in your mind of the energy, kind of like a spinning ball or some high energy thing, and it's constantly moving forward. Even though you're holding on a note, don't think of yourself floating or just standing there. The note's going, it's moving, it's taking up space, and that's going to help you to keep it up on the shelf. Now, one thing I was thinking of, I think when we did our lesson, we did me, may, ma. We would change what the vowel is. You can do whichever vowel you want. This is where, since it's just one note, you can pick, okay? So I would start off with your favorite, whatever that may be. Maybe start with a pointed one like ni or nay. Me or may, sorry. Start with the pointed one because that'll be easier to know where you're supposed to be, and then you can manipulate the vowels that are further back. But one thing I want to change, unlike our exercises where we do me, may, ma, starting with an N, I want us to start with an HN. Okay, so this kind of sounds like a very short, like if you're saying the word hun, but without the really. So it's more like hun. Do that a couple times and see what that does. I feel air pressure and some actual air is flowing through my nostrils. And because of the n sound, of course, it's going to the front of my shelf right behind the teeth there. And that little puff of air gives it a little lift on the way over to that spot. So when you're adding a vowel afterward, it's going to sound like, for example, if you do E, it's going to sound like hun, E. So honey, honey. If you're going to do A, it's going to sound like hun-a. Honey, honey. See, the first one I dropped a bit, but I need to keep it. Honey. If you're doing hun-ah, hanna, hanna. That H is giving me airflow, just like how we do with our reset, to keep it up on the shelf, gets us a little boost to make it up there instead of struggling from bottom to top, right? It's a nice placement from up to down. And then the N is really preparing me to stay in that focused shelf area, just like what your teeth do. So anyway, so with your sustained note, I'll play a note. I want you to think about it, and I'll say think. And then when it's time to go, you're going to hear me take a breath. And then you're going to say honey, or whatever vowel you want to do. Probably honey would be best. So you would hear think, honey, and you want to hold it up, teeth showing. If you can, add a little vibrato. Now, since we're not in person and this is going to be a recording, I would suggest play it and then press pause on your computer, your phone, whatever you're listening to with this, and then hold it out as long as you can, okay? And then afterward, press play again and prepare for the next note. Remember, I'm going to play the note, tell you to think, because I want you to be prepared. Don't just run into the battlefield. Think about it. And then you'll hear me breathe and play two notes. The first one is for your hun, and the second one is for your sustained vowel. Let's go ahead and try it. I'm going to start here. So ready? Think. Next note, think. Think. Next note, think. Next note, think. Next note, think. Next note, think about it. Don't screech and reach. Think. Next note, think. Next note, think. Next note, think about it. Two more, think about it. Last note, think. And all right, let's reset.